So the reason why it was so important to me, number one, I'm a fan of Frank, but my brand is walk-on. And the reason why is because I was a walk-on at the University of Missouri. So I was the lowest guy on the totem pole. I know what it's like to be overlooked. I know what it's like to have self-doubt. I know what it's like to not feel like you deserve to be around all the people that you are around. When I was a walk-on at Mizzou, I was around a bunch of blue chip recruits, and coaches didn't know my name, and I was treated like everybody else. And I worked my way up day by day, brick by boring brick, to become an All-American and a team leader. So this idea of Frank's journey, when it comes to health and wellness and fitness, he kind of started at the bottom, right? Overweight and making a lot of bad choices. And now the man that he has become and the growth that he has had is an inspiration to millions and millions of people across the globe. So it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And it's about making a commitment to yourself, making a commitment to where you want to go, setting a standard for your life, and then keeping that standard. And that is exactly what Frank has been doing. It started with one walk, and it was probably a very scary walk to go take that leap and make a commitment to yourself. But then one walk turned into two walks turned into a week turned into a month, and before you know it, now he's almost a year consecutive of holding the standard and keeping the promise to himself to walk every single day. So it was an absolute honor to share a walk with Frank. So thank you guys for the opportunity, and walk on, Frank. God bless. I'll see you at the top.
All right, hey, how's it going, Michael?
Good morning.
How's it going?
Man? I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks. I'm joined by Michael Chandler, who's going to be starring at a UFC pay-per-view very soon. He's one of the UFC's top fighters, and he's going after Connor McGregor.
If we ever get him to fight, if we can ever get him inside of the octagon and come back, I'm going to knock him out.
Let's go for a walk.
Let's go for a walk.
It's an honor to be here. You saw Stu Feiner with
Stu,
Ken.
yeah,
I love you, Michael.
I love you, Stu.
I love you, Frank. And Frank, can I say how stunning and fabulous and impressive you look? And I think this Rhoback shirt really brings out how breathtaking you are and the accomplishments that you really have achieved and how thin you look, Frank.
Yeah, well, these Rhoback polos are nice, comfortable, and great to wear on a nice summer day.
Shout out Rhoback.
Shout out. Yeah, you do look snazzy. Hold on, I heard this is day 300 and...
I think it's 324.
324 in a row.
Yes.
That is crazy.
324.
That is awesome.
It's been quite a journey, and your journey started at Mizzou. You were a top wrestler.
Yep.
What was that like?
I wasn't a state champion in high school, right? So I was kind of runner-up, didn't have any scholarship offers to any big schools. I had some scholarship offers to some small schools, but I decided to walk on to Mizzou. So I walked on to Mizzou. By year number 2, I was a starter, and then ended up becoming a team captain and an All-American by the end of it. But I wrestled with Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren. You know who those guys are?
I'm not that familiar.
No, so they both were very successful in mixed martial arts. They were like my big brothers. They started going into mixed martial arts. So I figured I'd give it a try. And then I've been trying it ever since. I've been trying it for 16 years.
You've already impressed everyone. Fight of the night, debut of the year. And it looks like you're lined up against Connor McGregor. Why do you think he's ducking you?
Man, it's a very, very interesting situation, right? So if you look at the sport as a whole, it's not as easy to put together fights as people think it is. It's not like the Mets, right? The schedule comes out and they just do the schedule, right? With the fight business, you've got all kinds of different things going on, and then you just multiply that times 100 when you got a guy like Connor McGregor, who is the biggest star in combat sports, right? So it's been an interesting scenario. We were lined up to fight June 29th, International Fight Week in Las Vegas, and then he broke his pinky toe and pulled out of the fight. So now we're kind of in limbo again.
Is he ducking you?
I stand firm in my notion that, yes, I think if he was fighting anybody else, if he was lined up against anybody else in the world, he would not have pulled out of that fight with a little pinky toe injury.
Because he hasn't had much success as of late. I mean, he's kind of like a faded memory, and
Well,
if you defeat him, you could end him.
yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of part of the story as well, right? He realizes if he's going to step inside the octagon and compete, he needs to be 100%. The problem is, the fact of the matter is, none of us are ever 100%, right? None of us are ever 100% when we step inside the octagon. There's always going to be little injuries, little bumps, little bruises. Obviously, this one was legit. If he had a snapped, broken toe, obviously that's a tough situation. But yeah, he has not had a lot of success as of late, and he needs to go out there and get a win. And I'm not exactly an easy guy to go out there and fight.
But he has to fight you in order to get back in the ring, right?
Well, yeah, so we also did The Ultimate Fighter on ESPN. So we did an Ultimate Fighter reality show. It was on 12 episodes, 12 weeks in a row on ESPN. And traditionally, the coaches of that show always fight each other. If they don't fight each other, it's a complete waste of time. It's a complete travesty for the UFC franchise, because really, the UFC really took off when they were on Spike TV, and it was The Ultimate Fighter, Stephan Bonner versus Forrest Griffin. It was like one of the first crazy big fights that the whole world ended up seeing highlights of, right? And that really launched the UFC. And since then, they've done 32 series of The Ultimate Fighter. So we have to fight each other and finish that, close that storybook.
And by the way, the episode was unbelievable. All those episodes. I thought the synergy, the chemistry, both of you coaching each team, I thought that was fabulous. It was the best I've ever seen, and I was so excited to see both of you fight. It was, unfortunate for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Nobody won here. The UFC
Yeah.
did not win. You did not win. Connor did not win. It probably would have been the biggest fight ever, because it had the height, it had the energy, and it was just perfect how it laid out. It's just such a travesty that he did break his pinky finger.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you something? Toe. The thing I'm asking, when you envision the fight, do you think you'll be able to take him boxing, or do you want to immediately bring him down and try to submit him?
So I like the idea of keeping my options open, but I do think, everybody knows how I fight. I'm a foot on the gas kind of guy. I'm going to be in his face. I'm going to put pressure on him. I'm not afraid to stand and bang. I'm not afraid to be in the pocket. I'm not afraid to turn it into a firefight. But I do have a lot of wrestling skills, grappling skills, cage work skills. I think the easiest path to victory, or what most people would say, hey Chandler, why don't you use your wrestling more, is obviously to use my wrestling. But I do believe I hit him with this right hand, he goes down. I do believe that the life he's been living compared to the life I have been living, there's a calling on my life to go out there, my greatest moment of opportunity, and knock this guy out within the first 2 rounds. That's my vision, but we'll see how the fight plays out, So we had the biggest gate of all time. We broke the record for the biggest gate of all time, because you guys know, whether it's baseball, no matter what, sports needs a storyline, right? And there was this really great storyline that we created. Connor's storyline was the greatest comeback in combat sports history after snapping his leg. Everybody thought he was done. And then you got me, who's one of the most exciting guys on the roster, one of the most exciting guys every time I go into the UFC, or into the UFC octagon.
Yeah, it's like you're, I read that you were like top fighter of the night several times.
Yeah, every single time I have fought, I have been fight of the night. I was debut of the night, and I was fight of the year against Justin Gaethje right here in New York City at the Garden in 2021, November of 2021, fight of the year. So it's styles make fights, and I believe I'm going to be too much for him if he ever does pony up. And hopefully it's this year in December.
I think at this point it's either shit or get off the pot for Connor McGregor. It's been a while since he's actually fought, and if he really wants to come back, it's you or nothing.
Well, that is definitely, because everybody's got their opinions, right? You guys live in the world of Barstool Sports, and everyone's got their opinion about all the different people inside of organizations and sports and all stuff. So obviously everybody's got their opinion, and everybody's opinion is, why are you waiting for this fight? I've had enough assurances behind the scenes knowing that the fight was almost booked numerous times. We had dates looking. Nothing ever became public until June 29th. But Connor's road back to the UFC, back to the octagon, goes straight through Nashville, Tennessee, and Michael Chandler. That's it, because we have to finish the Ultimate Fighter.
I mean, if he doesn't want to take the fight, then he's done. What's your next option?
So yeah, we are. I have come out publicly right now to let everybody know. Listen, obviously, if it looks like the Connor fight is going to happen anytime soon, we want that to happen. But I've got a lot of different options. So I'm still number 6 in the world. I've got rematches with Charles Oliveira that everybody would love to see.
Wow.
Dustin Poirier, Gaethje. There's all kinds of different options. Then that's just at 155. I would love the idea of fighting at 170 as well. So there's a ton of great fights, a ton of great options, and a ton of exciting matchups that fans would want to see. But, I think Charles Oliveira is in a spot right now where he's looking for a fight, and that right there puts me right back into the mix. Avenge a loss against Charles Oliveira, who beat Poirier and beat Gaethje. So then, in essence, by MMA math, I nullified all my losses in the UFC.
That would be amazing. that would be an epic fight. Everyone would pay for that.
Yeah.
That would be epic, pay-per-views, and the buzz would be incredible.
Yeah.
Now, when is the next big pay-per-view?
So the next big pay-per-view is October 28th, I think, in Abu Dhabi. And then you got Madison Square Garden in November, and then you've got Vegas in December. I don't know the exact dates of November, December. They're not public yet. But
those would be the perfect two fights, two venues for you against McGregor.
Yeah, it would be great. I mean, I've fought at the Garden a couple times now, 3 times. So I enjoy the Garden. It's the world's most iconic arena for a reason. If you guys have been in there, like how loud it is in there, it's just a different,
iconic.
It's a different feel, you know. You got John Jones on that card. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Well, the Garden is the most famous arena in the world.
Yeah.
Everyone around the world knows the Garden.
Yeah, it's just different whenever there's a fight. Right the tank, baby.
Let it roll.
Yeah, it's just a different feel. Whenever people say, hey, there's a fight at the Garden, they know the UFC is going to put on the best show they can.
Connor McGregor up.
Hey, my man. See, everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
He knows. My man knows. Yeah, come on, bro.
It's almost like at this point, it's good against evil. We don't want to depict Connor. We don't want to.
Hell yeah, dude. Good to meet you, man. Thank you.
Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. You know, the world knows.
You know.
So it's almost at this point, it's good against evil. Not that Connor is evil per se, but we've seen him go out of his way. For some reason, he doesn't mind playing the devil, playing the evil, playing a jerk, tracking a 70-year-old man in a bar on the cheapest shot I've ever seen in my life, where your reputation, I think, not only is your skill set unsurpassed, being a phenomenal wrestler, all-American captain, but the way you carry yourself, class personified. Like, as a father, I know that my kids look up to you and they emulate you. They want to carry themselves like you. You're class. You do not go out of your way to demean someone, to diminish someone. You're like, hey, here's who I am. I'll do my talking in the ring. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I so respect that type of mentality. Yeah,
thank you. I appreciate the kind words. And it's just, truthfully, it's just who I am. It's how I like to operate. It's how I feel. In sports, obviously, there's the entertainment aspect of it, but then there's also the being true to yourself aspect, right? Just being a normal, good dude, or the best dude I can, is authentic to me. And I lay my head on the pillow at night saying, you know what, I probably could sell more pay-per-views. I probably could make more money. I probably could be a bigger star. I probably could have more fans and have more intrigue if I was a certain way, if I walked a certain way, talked a certain way, cussed a certain way, wore clothes a certain way, acted a certain way. But I'm like, man, I'm just Michael Chandler. And either you like me or you don't, and then I don't really care if you don't.
Recently we had a Rough and Rowdy where we had a retirement match.
Yeah.
Would it be a big notch on your belt if you could say, you finally shut up Connor McGregor, the most overrated, overblown, overhyped UFC fighter of all time?
Yeah, obviously that's part of the storyline. And that's definitely something that I have talked about, and also the fans. Like everybody, everybody over the last year or so, they're like, hey, dude, I love how you've handled this thing. Go out there, kick his ass, and like just shut him up and send him off into retirement, right? Everybody knows Connor's doing all right. Connor sold his whiskey company, and he's quote unquote a billionaire. He calls himself, which really is a millionaire. But it's time. Somebody has to be the guy who puts the nail in the coffin. Somebody's got to be the guy who reminds him and shows him that he can't hang with the guys anymore. And I think I'm that guy.
To me, Connor McGregor, he's been over for like 5 years at least. And it's about time that someone comes up and just ends him. Because every time, it's like he tries to, like, even though he is well past his prime, well past his sell-by dates, it seems like he tries to take the oxygen out of the room because he always makes it about himself.
Yep. That has been his MO, right? Like some guys love to make it about them, and some guys just love to make it about the sport. I feel like I'm more of a guy who makes it about the sport, and I'm never going to fault a guy for his brand or how he wants to do things. But I've also never walked a mile in his shoes. This is what I say, and this is where people say, people want a little more animosity or they want me to talk more trash. And I'm like, hey, give yourself or give myself $100 million and see how I treat people. Let's see how I react, how I respond. I got a sneaky suspicion I'd probably be the same guy with a few more nice things, but that's the reality that he lives in, right? He can't send a tweet out or fart in the wind without the whole world, looking at him and giving him attention. So it's like a drug for him. So
and you can't really complain about his career. It's arguably one of the greatest, careers ever in the history of anything. Self-made billionaire from a plumber, went right against Jameson, had an epic proper 12 whiskey. So, in other words, I don't think I think that he might be past his prime as far as his physical ability, because Father Time gets us all. But, you can't really disparage the man. I mean, men want to be him, women want to be with him. I mean, he is an icon, which is the reason that the matchup between you and him is so fascinating, so intriguing. It's like, will you actually end his career, or could he come off the mat and it could be arguably the greatest comeback, part 2 again? So I think that's actually why I just pray to God for everyone involved it happens. It's a win for UFC, it's a win for Connor, and it's a win for you. It can make you the greatest legend that's ever been in the sport. So much is on the line. It's just, I just hope it happens.
Yeah, it's tough because we were so close too. I mean, the sport of mixed martial arts, or the sports in general, injuries happen, guys get sick, whatever it may be, and fights don't end up happening, obviously. But this one we were so close.
Oh,
we were so close.
I mean,
the build-up was huge. Yeah.
I thought that injury only happened on Seinfeld.
Yeah, I know. Well, and honestly, in the sport, in the sport, it's like, it's definitely not something that most guys would pull out of a fight for. But once again, I think when you've got options and you don't have to fight, but you want to fight, maybe you don't fight injured, So
I think of the NFL and Ronnie Lott, who one time had a broken pinky, and doctors told him he couldn't play, and he said that what if you amputate the finger? He said, well, it will hurt you, but you could actually play. You won't do any more damage, and he chose to have half his finger removed.
See, that kind of stuff, like dedicated to the game. Dedicated to the game. I had a coach who lopped off one of his toes as well.
I mean,
his toe kept getting broken and kept getting broken. He was like, I'm not going to stop doing jiu-jitsu. I'm just going to cut my toe off.
I mean, there might be no worse appendage. I mean, I guess you could say Connor McGregor went wee all the way home.
All the way home. Well, that's what I said. That's what I said. Of all the toes, the pinky toe is the most insignificant. And that's the sad, unfortunate part. It's like, if he was fighting someone else, I don't think he would have went wee all the way home.
Of course he wouldn't have.
He would have fought someone else.
Of course, he's afraid of you.
Yeah. So I mean,
the betting odds in Las Vegas, the soft odds, off the line odds, you're a 3-1 favorite right now over him. You're minus 300. So, I mean, if you're betting, you're never betting on Connor. You're betting directly on you as the prohibitive favorite. That's a lock. I want to just plug in for a second here. The legendary ascension of Frank the Tank. So, you know, going back like 7-8 years ago, Frank was about 525 pounds. He was a court clerk in New Jersey, and his claim to fame was that his epic battle, his nemesis, is New Jersey Transit, because he uses the New Jersey Transit in his past life to get to his job, and similar how he still works right now living in New Jersey, but he had a rant that got picked up by Major League Baseball. He was interviewed by A-Rod, by Frank Thomas, and that's really put Frank on the map. But by the same token, when my first relationship with Frank was, first of all, I fell in love with him from day one, but second of all, I was very scared for his health. It wasn't really going out on a limb to say at any moment he actually could die. His diabetes was out of control, his weight was out of control, his legs were hurting him, he was not healthy. So the rise to the top right now of his really fame and fortune and glory is, number one, he has a photographic memory, he's brilliant. He could probably name every team that's ever played in their record from the mid-1920s until now off the top of his head. That, you know, I mean, he is the Einstein of Barstool Sports. He is the Einstein of sports everything, and that's number one. But number two, on his own, and in addition to the help that I provided, and really the over-the-top, really mentoring of Jenks, I mean, man's lost 200 pounds.
Man.
And people just look at him, and really it's Frank's, you know, mission statement and motto is, if I can do it, you can do it. So he's really become an icon in the world right now of social media, of Barstool, and really, you know, the United States, and really he stretches all over the world where people look at him and go, that is absolutely amazing. From your deathbed to now being probably the biggest personality at Barstool, getting millions of views per day, throwing out first pitches at Major League Baseball games, and becoming really, you know, mainstream throughout the world. It's just an unbelievable rise to the top. And I think you actually can relate to that from where you started. You weren't locked to go to Missouri and become an All-American. You worked every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, independent, and you really created to be the superstar and the legend that you are now. Similar, I think, to what Frank did, different paths, but you both are superstars right now. And I just want to say, I validate how great you are, what a power of example you are to the world, and it's an honor just to be next to you guys and breathe the air that you guys breathe. That's all I can say.
Well, hey, listen, the human spirit is undefeated if we keep pouring into it, right? Like people love to watch other human beings and how they live their life, how consistent they are, how dedicated they are to it, right? No matter how low they are or how high they are, because we follow people not because of all of their successes, but in spite of their failures. We follow people because of their failures, their shortcomings, the things that they wish they could change and they're working on, and they keep falling back into the same things. But it's the diligent and consistency pursuing your best self every day, right? And Frank, 320 something days in a row, that kind of consistency.
I mean, I was just going to think about, hey, I'll do it a couple of days, and then one day turn to 50 turn to 100, and I haven't stopped.
So for you, is it like, hey, I'm gonna go just take a walk, right? But then the next day, it's like, hey, that wasn't so bad. I kind of enjoyed that, right? And then it's life is all about stacking little bitty wins, right?
I mean, when I first started, I couldn't I get more and more stamina, and I could walk longer and longer. If we have optimal weather, I mean, it's really good. I can really go far.
Yeah, but what they were saying too is like you do it whether it's rain or shine.
Yep.
Sick or healthy, good day, bad day, because life is not about how you feel. The problem that we have as a human race is we care too much about our feelings, and we say, well, I don't really feel like it today. Well, the grind, success, failure, all of those things don't care about your feelings, right? You got a goal and you got a standard that you set for your life. And the standard that you have set now is, hey, I'm going to walk every day. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to change these habits. And that's what's really cool. Because the human spirit is undefeated if you keep pouring into it. And you're an inspiration to the entire world.
Thanks. Well, thanks for joining us. Is there anything else that I want to say? Anything else you want to promote? Like any charities or anything?
So actually there is one called Love One International. We got an event coming up. They do a lot of cool resources and stuff for children in Africa. We got an event coming up, a golf outing. My tequila company, Hiatus Tequila, is sponsoring that. Speaking of fitness, I am launching my second version of Walk On Fitness, my fitness app, where we are going to, it's going to be a lot more interactive in a fitness community where we not just have the fitness programs, but we have nutrition with Mega Fit meals.
Oh, nice.
We're going to have mindset. We're going to bring my podcast and stuff. So I'm kind of in that health and wellness space. I always will be. I have dedicated my life to hand-to-hand combat, which in turn is fitness. So changing people's lives and realizing, just like you, just like Frank's stories, the little decisions that we make every day add up to a big impact.
Yeah.
And losing the weight, more mental clarity, and a huge platform to be able to reach people.
Well, thanks. Thanks for joining us, and thanks. I know when you finally get this fight, you're going to be victorious, and you're going to go on to bigger and better things.
Yes, sir. And you will be there.
Yes.
You will be there. And then we walk again.
Yes.
Then we walk again.
Yes.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thank you, Stu.
An honor.
Thank you, guys.
An honor.